Interact with you. Like we're just a scrub. Like, but I feel like there was an opportunity there to let us interact a lot more with the higher ups in government, right? Like there were some opportunities there, like some more story. I would have loved to see more story actively
Yeah,
involved with the government.
I will say this, right? So, and I assume you mean this when you're saying this is, um, first off, there is so much content here. I can't even imagine compared to the normal game and the normal game like this, how much content is here. There is, because again, things are constantly changing. You go back to a village, it's different. It's been attacked, and like there's so much going on. So, yes, I would be interested in exploring more of that type of relationship and get more involved. But I would love to see that as an add-on or DLC or whatever, or
Oh God,
additions to
yeah.
build out of this world. As is, this game is amazing, and has so much content. But I just want to say that out front. Anything that I say, oh, it'd be great if it had this, it's just like keep building in this world, keep
Oh
giving
yeah, yeah.
storylines, keep doing more in this world. No reason to move on to game three, if you will. Just keep building out this world to be more and more robust, and maybe you know some more side quests in Act 1 through 3, and then maybe there's an Act 4 that eventually comes in to continue the story. Now that I'm super rich, you know,
Yeah, I'm super rich too. Yeah, definitely.
so
Yeah, if you are listening, Aknon, there is really, as Aaron said, there is really no reason to make a new game. This is the game. Build on this open world, add more side quests, as Aaron just mentioned, add more adventures, scale up the mobs so the mobs can actually give us a challenge. Please, please, please add more random combat. Love your monsters. Oh, did you ever run into those like really dangerous boars that were near like your grandpa's cabin?
yes,
Did you ever?
yes, I
Did they
killed him.
whoop you? Did they whoop you? Killed them? You're
Yeah,
like more broken than me. I had trouble with them, but then again, I was having trouble understanding the weapons until I just sat down and started strategizing. And that's the thing. You really have to pay attention to what you're doing. You just can't. Oh, I hit you. This is not a game, folks, where you just smack people and go, "Oh, I'm gonna kill them." You may
yeah.
never
You got
kill
to plan
them.
it out. Yeah, you got to plan that out.
Yeah, you're not gonna
The,
kill them.
yeah, and the
Go
other
ahead.
thing that you really got to make sure you have is food and medicine.
Oh
You're not
yeah.
good. I mean, particularly, I mean,
Ooh, food
before I
is
moved on to
rough.
Act Three, I packed on so much food. I was like, I'm never going to need all of this, and I got closer to uh, depleting my stores than I thought I'd ever get in
Oh,
those flashbacks.
you're gonna use that food up, man. Let me tell you. I thought I wasn't gonna run out of food. I'm like, oh man, I got like 60 dog steaks. I got
Yeah,
all the booze in the world. Man, I was scraping the bottom of the barrel at one point. I'm
those
like, wait
dog
a
steaks,
second.
those dog steaks
Ooh,
are awesome for the price
those
and what you
dog
get out of it.
steaks are sick. For the price, now I had a channel friend say that the fish is a better deal. Now the fish does heal more, but the dog steaks, you get a lot of goods for your money. You get a lot of goods for your money. I mean, it heals. It doesn't heal as much as the fish, but it's great.
But
Like it can.
you also can find tuna. For me, it did 20 points uh,
Uh,
for dog steak, and I paid 5 coins for a dog steak.
oh yeah, I know. I mean, and, okay, so there's these really cool things, folks. So this is the thing about Red Tide. There are so many little side stories. Like, in order to get the dog steak food, you have to not kill the dog guy, the dog catcher, right? And yeah, for those of you
In the
who don't like,
slums where you don't really know who he is, and
exactly, please
firing
do
arrows
not
at you.
read that. If you are a person who has trouble with fantasy-based violence, be very cautious. There are some moments in this game that could trigger you. So if you do have an issue with any even fantasy violence, do not read some of these things. They're maybe a little much for you. But yeah, there is this part where you can get the dog catcher to become your friend, right? And I really would have loved to have him as a companion, right? It would have been awesome to have him as like my brother hanging around like, yeah, let's send the dog, let's send the boy.
Yeah.
It's,
Well,
go ahead.
well, talking about companions, because I would love to see a companion system so you actually have two fighters and maybe different loadouts on those. Maybe the companion, they have their set gear and you're not really changing their gear, but then you can be like, all right, well, I'm taking this guy and he's a range fighter, so I will change up my gear to kind of have different skills than he would employ or she.
Right.
Um, so I would love that. They did have, I was telling you that I ran in right before the end of Act Two. I ran into a guy on the street who I hired to be a mercenary for me, and he was there in the battle. And what again, kind of comparing your experience in this particular battle versus my experience in the battle, it seemed like I faced half of the enemies. Like it said, he charged in and he, struck down a few people. So like you faced five people and I faced two people or something like that. So that's kind of the role he played by spending the money to hire him. But I would have loved to just face five people and I have two characters that I'm, deciding how the attack and the battle goes.
I love that you noticed that. And I also noticed that too. And again, I'm going to offer a really cool wish list item, which is let's fully engage that buddy system, the companion system, maybe a future update, two or three down the line. If, Act Done, you have if you want to do that, I think it'd be absolutely fantastic because there's so many amazing characters you introduce,
Oh
and
yeah,
I'd love to work with them in the future. Like the dog catcher, oh my goodness, boy is bad, man. He can do this, and I mean he's inappropriate, wildly inappropriate, but he's just fun because he's like, I'm gonna cook some dog steak over here, and then now I'm gonna do this, and again, spoiler alert for this entire video, we're talking about a lot of in-game stuff. If you haven't fully experienced the entire game, please play it through. Come back to the video and rewatch several
probably should
times.
have told them at the beginning.
Yeah, spoiler alerts work
You might
better when
want to
they're
cut that
in the
in. But spoiler alert at the
beginning.
beginning.
Yeah, I'm really great at this.
But
Again, Aaron's the interviewer, folks. I am really bad at interviewing. I'm used to talking to
we've only
nobody.
gotten through 5% of the achievements at this point.
I don't know where to get through it all. We have like 10 minutes left or so, but I don't think we're going to get through all of them. But I also want to free talk about them. So Aaron, like I said, I want to know from you what were some of the because I we have about 10 minutes left, and I want to really get into some of the memorable moments of the game. Because we're not going to get through all the achievements on this first time. We'll come back, folks, I promise. But what were some of the memorable moments you had in Eldrum Red Tide that you really want to express and that made you want to turn the game on? Because you basically took off on me. I mean, we were playing like there's a game me and Aaron play together. Those of you know that we're friends in RL. So and there's a couple games we played together, but Aaron went off. He basically went off on into Eldrum like deep. Like you just basically disappeared into Eldrum, right?
Well,
Uh,
yeah, it's that's one of the it's an interesting thing when you are trying to review a game a week, right? It is hard, even if you love a game, to stay with it because you need to move on to that next game. So we were playing Lost Vault together, and I played that for months and months and months.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
I was playing, an hour of my day was playing Lost Vault, and I was like, I got to review a bunch of games. I'm
I can't just be enjoying this Lost Vault.
right,
Like,
yeah, yeah, and so I stopped playing Lost Vault, and I started playing, Eldrum for 3 hours a day, and just cranking through it.
mhm.
And I have finished it, and I'm hoping to interview the game developer before I release my review. But again, I love this game. I think this game is fantastic. Um, so there's a couple things just kind of early on. I've loved when the first time when I fought more than one enemy. Because a lot of times in these
Oh,
text
yeah.
adventure games, you're fighting one enemy and it's that's back and forth and it's over.
You
When
hit
it's
the
something
rat. The rat hits you.
right,
It's so boring, right?
yeah,
Most games are text-based RPGs are so boring. You hit one creature back and
right.
forth, right?
This that you had five different sometimes five different enemies that you were facing that you could you know not just attack the one in front of you, but you could attack anybody who's one square away from you, so you could kind of move around of who you're attacking, which again ramped up the strategy. Um, that again was the first thing. I was like, oh, this is great. It's more than just one. Then when it got to like, oh, I picked up a weapon. Oh, it has a special ability. What does this ability do? And how that changed combat. Whether I should bleed them, or I should parry, or I should do a big they only have 25% health left. I've saved up my 3,000 advantage points to cleave them in half. Like it all just added a layer of strategy and approach to that battle. So I really like that. Then it got into, again, these are all battle things, but you have 5 enemies and you've defeated those enemies, and then it says, oh, 5 more people came to reinforce them, and now you have to attack. They're attacking you right now, and you got to go again. So suddenly this one round, which I had been used to for half the game, through the first half of the game, suddenly it's like, oh, now I'm facing multi-round battles, which was great too, because again, that was a different thought and strategy and anxiety around fighting that. It was from one of your videos that I found out that you could save. I had no idea you could save.
I was not going to mention that. I was gonna ask you if it was okay to mention one of the menu system things that you discovered, but you brought it up. So tell us about your experience with the save system.
Well, I had no idea it was there. I just it did what a typical text adventure does, which is just continue from where you last left off, and I just kept doing that. And there were sometimes I was like, oh, and that battle didn't go well, or I'm really in a bad spot. I mean, it's good for this if you want to play real pure, where you can't like undo a mistake that you did, or I went into
hardcore, like a hardcore mode, right? You can't go back and switch anything. Yeah,
right. But I got stuck at a point where I just couldn't figure out where to go, and it was really just kind of something stupid on my part. But I was watching one of your videos. You're like, let me save before I start this battle. I was like, save? What do you mean save?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
I have no idea.
Man, I'm a big time saver. I filled up all the slots. I mean,
well, and they give you 30 slots.
Now, but, I use them all. Slots. I use every one of them. I don't like to die. I hate when a boss just flips the script on me and stuff. But go ahead. You were saying?
Well, that's really great, because a lot of times if you do get some game, it'll give you like 3 save slots, which is good. I mean, it's better than just one, but 30 is amazing, because you can really kind of have a long trail to go back to something if you really messed something up. I was particularly nervous at one point because I had no food and no place to that I owned to go down and rest, and it was looking grim for me, but I managed to pull it out. But that was before I knew about the save situation.
You almost got owned, didn't you? Yeah,
I did. I was.
You were doing a hardcore mode, Aaron. You were basically doing a hardcore. I'm thinking about doing a whole playthrough where you can't save. That's hardcore. You were doing that without even trying.
Yeah, I don't think I think I would do it my next playthrough. I think I would just do it that way, because now I know things. Like it's hard when you don't know things. But now I would just know, like, all right, I need to have an ample amount of food or bandages, before I go into this next area. I didn't really know that, so I was like, oh, I just, I'll always be able to buy bandages, so I'll just, I'll have 3 bandages on me at any time, which gives me whatever 9 heals or whatever. That'll be fine. But then you move on to an area and there's just nowhere to buy anything for a long, long time, and there's nowhere to rest.
Desert. That food and resting desert, point desert.
Exactly. And I was just like, oh, well, I'll just buy something at the next place I go, and there was just no next place for a long, long time. So I was really scrambling there. That was actually the first time I called you, because I was like, I need food. I know you're playing this game.
I love when you called me and said, what's going on here? Man, you were so genuine. Your distress over that was so incredibly genuine. I really appreciated that, because I thought I was the only person that suffered when there was nowhere to rest and no food. I'm like, this is too real.
Well, yeah, and the thing I was just scared of is, like, I'm going to have to restart this game. I was hours and hours and hours into this game, and I'm trying to play it and get to the end to review it. And I was like, I think I might have to start over. I think I might have boxed myself into a corner that I'm not going to be able to survive um, I'm in real trouble here, and I really didn't want to go back 5 hours and start over from scratch when
Oh no, yeah,
trying to get to the end to craft a review.
definitely. But we're going to start wrapping it up, folks. We're going to come back again. I know y'all love Aaron and me when we chat. We're going to come back and do this again, but we have one last topic to cover, and I'm going to have Aaron, like I said, let y'all know exactly where you can find him. But Aaron, if you had an opportunity to throw out to Act None your most favorite wish list of things you'd like to have happen with Eldrum Red Tide in the future, what would be your wish list of things you'd love to have added to the game?
So we kind of talked about it in here. I don't think you create a new game. I think you build in this world. I think you add quest lines,
Mm-hmm.
you add locations, maybe you add an act four, kind of after the epilogue, and have people pay $2.99 for act four and five or something like that that continues on the story. But I don't think you leave this world. It's so rich, it's so beautiful. There's so many things that you can get into, and in effect, I think you just keep creating locations and storylines within here, and then maybe what you have to do is somehow as you move from one section, maybe people are more powerful than you originally thought they would be, but you just scale the enemies somehow as you move to act two. Oh, enemies will be 1.2 what I originally set because I added so many quests and people are higher levels than they should have been coming out of act one. So I think it's doable. But I wouldn't leave this world. I would just keep building this world and make this just constant content that is created in this world and keep the story going. And what happens in act four when I've destroyed the church, let's just say, and the cultists of no have taken over. I mean, like, just keep building out this world. It's also one of the things they do that I thought was particularly great. It had a great epilogue, that really
Oh,
kind of
yes.
walked you through in detail, different choices you made and what happened in the world after, the
Oh,
end
they
of.
did not phone it in. They
Yeah,
did not phone it in, folks. If you haven't gotten to the ending, they did not phone it in. That's a good novella long ending. Yeah,
right.
go ahead. What you were saying?
Yeah, I loved that part of it. So I just want to, my wish list would be to just continue to build in this world and build more quests and more NPCs that you engage with. Um, you know, if you had the ability to add a companion to fight battles with you,
Oh yeah, yeah.
some of these people that you meet, be able to bring them along with you for indefinitely or for a certain part of the game. Uh, you know, be able to have them for act two, but when you move to act three, then they disappear and they go their own way or stay back. Whatever the case may be. But I that would be really great because I think again I would add a different layer to the battle system because now I could do this battle by myself and how would I approach it? But now I have a companion and how would I approach this battle if I added a companion? It kind of greatly changes the overall battle strategy. It makes it fresh and different than what my playthrough is. Oh, I decided to go it alone, and I got special perks for going it alone, but you decided to take a companion, so that was your perk, bringing a companion. So it'd be a different experience, which I think is really what makes it special. Again, that agency. My fight scenes and my battles are going to be different than your battles because I equipped myself out differently, and I went with a different kind of agility build, and you went with a strength build. And my next build might be a charming, perceptive person, and I'll probably have to do things very different and maybe a lot more defensive because I'm not going to have a lot of strength and agility.
And you bring up an incredibly great point is that the companion could be a person that supplements what you don't have. For instance, my character build, my whole kind of like chaotic evil or lawful evil, I needed somebody with charm. It would have been great if I could have grabbed like one of my companions I'd met along the way, maybe like the cultist leader. And sorry about that. And I could have said, hey, cultist leader, you come along with me because you're really good at chatting with
Sure.
people. Or I could have grabbed one of my more barbarian friends and they could have been the person that did a little bit more heavier fighting with the mobs in game, and maybe they could have maybe had a moment where I select them like defensive mode. You know how you have these defensive posture,
Right,
offensive
right.
posture?
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe my companion could be
right.
offensive or defensive and they help me deal with certain elements, or maybe they cast magic, or maybe they're just great for communication or getting me, like you said, better prices for goods.
Right.
But yeah,
Well,
I
that's
mean, I
like
think,
I
yeah,
originally when I originally played, I was like, oh, I want to be like a ranger, and I want to just
yeah,
you get a bow. I paid money for a pretty expensive bow at the beginning. I was like, I'm just going to shoot everybody. But when you're in the battle scene, and particularly when you end up with being surrounded by five people, you can't get separation to really use that bow.
yeah, you
Um,
can't push them back. You get the vulture charge. The
yeah,
vulture charge, you can push them back, but it's costing you a turn. It's
right,
costing you an action, and
right.
that can get really
And then you got to switch.
problematic.
Well, and you can't fire the bow. Well, I think you could do the crossbow. You could
You
have the
can do the
crossbow.
one, you could use that one-headed weapon that can be thrown. So yeah, you can vulture charge and use a one-headed weapon. I do believe you throw the weapon, so you've got to have lots of copies. You've got to buy a ton of thrown weapons.
Yeah. And so, it would be great if I could be that ranger, as you said, move a tank in the front, put them in defensive position with parry on, and then I start picking people off from the back row. You know what I mean? Um,
Kind of like Bard's Quest did.
yeah, yeah, a Bard's Tale.
Warlocks of Larger Fern did that
Right.
whole. I'd
Yeah.
love to see that system kind of implemented a little bit with the panache of Eldrum.
Yeah.
But Bard Warlocks of Larger Fern had a really cool little 4x4 grid system where you could combat. You could jump in the back row if you were a wizard, and if you were a frontline fighter, you could throw your companion into the back row to like
Front
do
row.
range
Yeah.
attacks, which
Yeah.
was great. Um, I do believe that's a great wish list too. That is one of my wish lists. I agree with your
Yeah,
first
but
and second.
like I don't need them. So unlike that, like the Bard's Tale, you had a very specific grid. Like obviously it was on a grid. This is more kind of like textually telling you people are 1 square away from you or 2 squares away.
Hmm.
You could still keep that concept. I'll move back so I'm 2 squares or 3 squares away from somebody. I will move them forward so they're 1 square away. You don't have to change like it into a grid format like Bard's Tale is. You could still do it in the way the battle mechanic is now, but I think you could factor in another character in there. I think that would be really interesting. Again, as I was saying very early on, I was fighting one person, then I was multiple people, then there was multiple rounds, then there was special abilities on my gear. This would just add another layer that I think would just continue to make this game really special.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, wow. I mean, wow. So as you can hear, folks, we can go on about this for a while. This is a deep game. Acton, you did great. There are none better. You've done an amazing job. You've got your act together. And Aaron, thank you very much. And for those of you who really love hearing these kind of things, like I said, liking the video and subscribing means the world to me. The preciousness of your time is absolutely fantastic. But where can people go to hear Aaron, you talk more about games and introduce people to more amazingly diverse games out there for folks? Where can they find you again?
Yeah, on Facebook and Twitter, we're at Mobile Accessible Games. So come follow me on Twitter and join the Facebook group to hear those every Sunday new game reviews, and every Wednesday a link to the video. If you just want to go right to the videos of the interviews, that's on my YouTube page, which is actually just my name, which is Aaron Spelker, which is Aaron, and then S as in Sam, P as in Peter, Elker. And if you search my name, you'll find the interview series, and I think there's 40 now interviews that are posted out there of game developers, accessibility influencers, accessibility content creators, and lots of really really interesting stories from these game developers and accessibility content creators. So some of my favorite ones are the longer ones. So if you see one that's over an hour long, it means I was having such a great conversation with the person. Those are some of my favorite ones that end up going over an hour.
Oh, those great conversations. I mean, you and me have had so many great conversations. We literally, folks, have to pull ourselves in because we could go on forever. And we're going to come back and do more of these. But definitely, folks, swing by MAG. I am
Yeah,
in the
we really only
community.
did get to about 10% of the achievement
Oh,
list.
yeah, we have so much to go. If you're cool with it, would you like to come back? Can we
Yeah,
come
yeah,
back again and go through more of
definitely.
this achievement list? Yeah,
We
we're
should.
not. I'm not going to leave y'all. I'm not going to leave you all without us going through our whole achievement list. I'm gonna be doing another Let's Play of Eldrum. It will include the content that wasn't in the original Let's Play. I hope Aaron's gonna come back, which is cool, and we're gonna talk about more of the more rarer parts of the game that we didn't get to experience. So we're both going to be replaying, and hopefully we find some parts we didn't get to have, right? Some moments, some story plots.
I'm going to try to do that charm perception build, which is maybe a big mistake, but see how I do.
I say it's not a mistake. I say it's going to be beautiful because you're going to uncover something that maybe few folks have had a chance to experience and listen to. So I'm
That is my
down.
hope.
Please let me know how that turns out. But that's going to be it for us, folks. Thank you very much for coming to. This has been Eldrum Red Tide, and we're discussing. This is going to be part of my new playlist, Open World, and I hope to have Aaron back definitely soon. We're going to do more of these scenes, and we're going to talk more about the builds, the weapons. We're going to talk about future updates. There's lots of updates coming out for Eldrum Red Tide, and Aaron, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, folks, take care and keep gaming and come back again. All right, folks, take care.
Eldrum, red tide, health points 190. Speech off.